It actually set me up for a fall, drinking and smoking so much early. I had that fall, but was able to look back at it and build up a new life, which I'm very happy with. I grew up rurally outside of Levin, and I suppose it made a big difference. My father passed away when I was 8 years old, and so it was just mum and my sister Megan, and mum worked hard in the local supermarket checkout part-time, and so I think I'm painting a picture of not a lot of money around. I think challenge-wise it might have been tough money-wise. I may have felt like I was missing out, but mum did very well providing for us all, and now as an adult when I look back it was actually a wonderful upbringing. But I think one of the challenges may have been feeling a bit poor. I think probably discipline. I mean, mum a few years later met a cool guy, Ted, who became my stepdad right up until mum passed away, or they're both gone now. But I think having no dad probably meant I wasn't reined in as a teenager and maybe a man in my 20s, and as a result I possibly could have been more self-centered and less disciplined with a man showing me how to behave. That came a few years later. I remember why I left school early, and the reason I left school early is after fifth form I got school certificate, and my mother and Ted, my stepdad, had organised to go to Australia for the whole school holidays. And I'd arranged to go stay with a mate of mine whose father had a property at the local beach with a caravan on it. And we lived in the caravan for the whole summer. What mum did for money is she gave me 6 cheques for $30, but they were future dated, so I couldn't cash them until the next Thursday came along. And we didn't buy any food, we lived on potatoes, but it was a level of freedom of waking up, cut off jean shorts, down the beach every day, doing my own thing, getting by in the world my own way. When it came time to come back to the rules and the structure of school, I was already out. So I think that's why I left school early. What were my dreams? I had no idea. No idea. Everyone smoked and everyone drank or wanted to drink. One thing I've learned as a non-drinker, because I gave up just under a decade ago today, is that alcohol removes consequences, or removes the feeling of responsibility and consequences. So that's why I think young people like it, is you come from a place with no real responsibilities when you're living at home with your parents, and you move out into a world. Remember, I just turned 16 and moved out into the world. There's a lot of responsibility. All of it went away when you party with your friends. You're back to a land of no responsibility. But I think it was a time, it was the 1980s, the late 80s, everyone smoked, man, and drinking was a thing that you just did. I think people drink less now, but I think it actually set me up for a fall, drinking and smoking so much early. I had that fall, but was able to look back at it and build up a new life, which I'm very happy with. I think I realised I needed to make a change because what happens is that if you're drinking a lot, your responsibility is falling by the way, and all these bad decisions compound on each other. Like good decisions compound each other in a good way, bad decisions compound on each other in a bad way. And ultimately, I think if I was just dead honest, I pissed off my employer, I pissed off my partner, I pissed off my friends, just by wanting to party all the time, and I ruined my financial stability. I spent all my money on the wrong things. I was a Henry, which stands for high earner, not rich yet, because I had no assets. And I just sat around and looked one day, feeling reasonably alone, because I was. And that was probably 12 years ago. And that's what started me on the journey of thinking, man, you got to make some changes. And I tell you what, if you make some changes around how hard you party, I guarantee you, you will become wealthy. I suppose I've always worked, well not always, but since around the late 90s I worked in financial services. When I became self-employed, we initially started just selling life insurance. And you've probably never sold life insurance, but it's blimmin' hard. I mean, the people that want life insurance can't get it, and the people that can have life insurance don't want it. And so I realised that you can't sell something to someone or advise them on it if it's difficult to understand. And so I thought I'd start building the business up around if we can educate people around how to best work with money, therefore they will see the value of protecting yourself and your wealth that you accumulate with insurance. So I started learning about how to best manage money and realised pretty quickly that I also needed to know. So I just dived into it head first. And when I gave up drinking, when you give up drinking, you realise how much time you have. It's because I partied all the time. In my spare time, it was party time. And so I had all the spare time. I started learning. And I started learning about investing, about how to best budget, about why you would budget, and everything in between. And that's how we built our financial wellness program. I learnt myself and then shared with everybody, if that makes sense. One of the things I noticed, if I can go back to giving up alcohol, is man, you just leap out of bed when the sun's up. It might be 5:30 in the morning. You leap out of bed ready to go. Waking up early meant that I could fit in exercise. I learnt after doing exercise, it actually makes you feel good. Like, did you know that scientists only about a decade ago realised that the muscles release an enzyme when they're under stress? It's called the hope molecule. That's why you feel so good after you work out. So the routine of getting up early and starting my day with some pretty vigorous exercise motivated me and gave me a good buzz for the whole day, changed my life. My overall transformation from party, out of shape, sloppy Jeremy into more in shape, organised, and without sounding like a wanker, wealthier Jeremy, that was fitness. You feel good, your clothes fit, you feel good because you know you look better. There's a confidence around it. There's routine. You're releasing those hope molecules when you exercise your muscles. Yeah, just good all around. It's a funny story, this one. It's nothing that I planned. I left my previous corporate job under a black cloud because I was drinking too much and not fulfilling my obligations in the agreement that I had with them. They would pay me money to produce certain tasks and aspects and new business opportunities, and I was letting it slide because I was too busy having a good time on their corporate dollar. So the real story is, I lost my job. And because I was working in such a small industry, it was very easy for my reputation to get around all the potential new employers that I could have joined. I had no other choice. I had to start my own business. So I stuck with what I knew in insurances and realised if you want to advise people on insurance properly, you've got to show them how the whole wealth picture works. And that's how we ended up here. One of the big things around taking from my past to build into a good business now was I realised when I was drinking a lot, like a lot of people I know, I wasn't as truthful as I should have been. Super advice is built on the foundation of honesty, meaning we will always put the customer first. We will show the customer where we think they're going wrong, honestly, with a solution to get to the right place. I just have to look back at my past and look at all the decisions, not necessarily just about the drinking or the partying, but all the decisions that I made. There were a lot of fibs in there. And When you fib for a while, you're carrying them all with you. So I remember I was driving to work, I was about to throw my chewing gum out the window onto the road, littering. And I stopped and thought, it's not the right thing to do. So I kept that chewing gum. And from that moment on, I made a promise to myself that I would use absolute honesty going forward. It doesn't mean being mean to people, it just means presenting an honest and clear picture, but nicely, with feelings involved. So I would say, from my past to now, honesty is the absolute path to freedom. We realised pretty quickly that there were opportunities to get our advice to the people that needed it most by partnering with pre-existing organisations. So we partnered with associations and, for example, a transport association in New Zealand, where transport businesses belong to that. We found a pain point. Their pain point was they were struggling to get drivers. So we built an employee benefit specific for drivers and made it available for those businesses and shared some of our revenue with the organisation. We've also since partnered with labour unions, where we can help people that perhaps don't engage financial services because of their demographic, being made available to them through an existing relationship like unions. So we grew so big because we found a way to provide our wealth advice services to people that needed it the most, but maybe didn't have the money to pay for it. So we often build them into employee benefits. I think a big lesson on managing money, if I look at the investing side of it, a lot of people believe that you need to have, and I would have been one of these people, a pile of money first before you can become an investor. We actually don't. The real strength in being a successful investor is saving the money first so that you can actually invest something, and doing it regularly and doing an amount consistently. It's not about the returns. It's not about you should have put your money there or you should have put your money there. It's about saving the money in the first place. So take a back step. How do we save the money? Well, we need a cast iron plan on how we treat our money when it arrives in our bank account to make sure that we have a surplus to be able to invest in the first place. But I think the biggest thing is just start. Never use consumer debt. Never go on holiday on a loan or a credit card. Don't buy furniture unless you can pay for it up front. Don't buy a car unless you can pay for it up front. Don't be fooled in thinking that you can make yourself rich by buying lots of things on finance. You will just continue to make yourself poor. Debt is what's screwing you. Oh, well, we get pretty busy running the show, but I have an outstanding team of people. We have a strategy at Super Advice where we offer employment opportunities to mums. Half of our talent is on the sideline at the moment, raising the next generation of Kiwis. So it's very difficult for them to get a job. Even if you've got school kids, got to pick the kids up, got to drop the kids off. So how we manage delivering financial advice successfully is we have recruited some really talented mums. I don't know if they like being called mums, but women that are at home looking after their family, being at home for their kids when they're small, and working for us for a number of hours a week. So how do we do it? Good people on the bus. Who are those people? Mums from around New Zealand. Our latest recruit is from Bulls. Oh, success looks very different to me now. When I was younger, I thought success was a Lamborghini, a 6-bedroom house, maybe a yacht and a jet. But success isn't about those things. For me, success is a feeling like we are making money in a way that helps people. For me, success is not having any money concerns personally, which feeds into independence, not being beholden to someone. Success for me is helping my mates and my loved ones and my family be the best they can be with advice, but you've got to be careful sometimes how you give that advice, especially with teenagers. So very different. I suppose to sum that up, success when I was younger was high value assets, not money making assets, just things. Success for me now is feeling satisfied and independent. When you have a financial wellness meeting with someone, we do them all digitally. So it'll either be like on a Zoom meeting or on a Teams meeting, and sometimes on the phone. Every single meeting that we've ever done, you have a high when you finish, because you know that you've turned a light on for someone. It's very rare to have a meeting. In fact, I don't think we've ever had a meeting with someone that said that wasn't valuable. I mean, do you remember being taught at school about how to manage your money, how to grow wealth, how to accumulate? No one has. So when we turn that light on, first of all, we'll open the bonnet, have a look at how they're operating, and then give some suggestions on how to do it better. The smile on their face, you've unlocked a pathway for them. That's the buzz right there. I mean, I say to the team at work, they've had a meeting. Did you get a high afterwards? Oh yeah. That's when you know you've done well. I mean, when most people have financial anxiety simply because of the uncertainty in their future. We just put a plan in place that they can unfold year by year, step by step. I mean, they can look at the plan and see where they want to be in 7 years. Certainty is the trick to getting rid of anxiety. Well, we know we can help people, but how do you show people that you can help people? Well, you talk about it on camera. A good way to do that is to have real live conversations with someone like Georgia. And yeah, podcast is really about piquing people's interest, getting the message out there that we can help. We can help. And so podcast is a good way to do it. If you're feeling stuck, it'll be because you either don't know where your money moves, it arrives and then disappears, who knows where, or you're feeling the anxiety of too much debt. Your debt burden is too high. And so we need to get rid of those two things. The third thing will be that you know you've got no backup if the shit hits the fan. So I would say, get a plan, remove the uncertainty, pay off the debt, keep your own money, stop being beholden to people because you want a fancy car. And third, build up a fund in the background that's gonna be there if something unexpected happens. So now your future's taken care of, you've got a plan, you've got certainty, and you know not to constantly keep shooting yourself in the foot by borrowing money for dumb shit. That's it. Everything's easier if you're fit. So if you're thinking you're not fit, try and build a routine to get yourself to wherever you need to get you. Just it could be walking around the block, going to the park, doing push-ups every morning. Get yourself in shape, because everything's easier if you're in shape. Once you've got in shape, find out where your money goes. Build a plan, stay away from debt, and build an emergency fund. And just give yourself a couple of years to get this happening. And learn to say no, because you're going to have to do that. All these opportunities arrive for you to part with your money all the time. Hey, you going to go on this golf trip to South Island? No thanks. Coming to the Pearl Jam concert? No thanks. Hey, we were thinking about going to beach hop, partying for a few days? No thanks. Just say no for a while, concentrate on making yourself better and stronger, and then do a budget, don't borrow any money, and build an emergency fund.